Morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this conference call today for one of the main attractions of the 2022 PFL World Championships, the showcase featherweight bout between Aspen Ladd and Julia Budd. Before we get started, of course, just say thank you to everybody for taking time out of your day. We know the media have busy schedules, so we appreciate you joining us, and we'll try to get to everybody's questions on the call. Now, of course, the 2022 PFL season has been nothing short of amazing so far. Tons of exciting MMA action and incredible upsets. And, of course, the PFL's one-of-a-kind sports season format makes it so that all wins are crucial and every fight matters. And that's certainly the case here. This is an opportunity for two top fighters to make a real statement heading into 2023 with this performance. Now, after a stellar amateur career, the pioneer California native Aspen Ladd, who trains out of MMA Gold, signed with Invicta FC before making her UFC debut in 2017. She went on to secure back-to-back bonuses there against Tanya Evinger and Sijara Eubanks and was a mainstay in the top level of the promotion's rankings until her departure. She enters her PFL debut with a 9-3 professional record. Meanwhile, Julia Budd started in combat sports through Muay Thai. She remains the only fighter to beat Gina Carano in Muay Thai, having done so in 2005 before making the transition to MMA. She made her professional MMA debut in 2010 and went on, of course, to become Bellator's first women's featherweight champion, successfully defending that belt 3 times before ceding it to the great Chris Cyborg in 2020. So without further ado, let's welcome the stars of our call, Aspen Ladd and Julia Budd. And Aspen, we'll start out with you. It's good to see you, by the way. It's been a while. Talk about the feeling that you're feeling right now. I mean, you're about to start with this new promotion, the PFL, make your debut, biggest card of the year for the promotion on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. You know, a former champ on the other side of the cage. So what's the feeling like for you right now?
It's on top of the world. I couldn't be more excited because I just signed with them, and I think Julia had an opponent on this one, and it fell out. It was like, hey, we got a slot. And then they told me a name. Of course, I knew who it was. Like, oh, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. A big matchup right away. Now, if you look stylistically, I mean, at its core, I think you could bake this down to, hey, maybe striker versus wrestler. But, I mean, do you see it that way? Do you see it as that kind of stylistic matchup? And, you know, what kind of advantages do you think you have over Julia Budd?
Not necessarily. From what I've watched on Julia, she mixes it up. She likes to strike. She likes to grapple a little bit. So I would not say it's the traditional striker versus grappler. I think it's MMA fighter versus MMA fighter.
I love it. 2 big names, 2 past promotions coming together in the PFL. What do you think we can expect in this fight? I mean, it looks on paper, it looks like it's going to be a big one. What do you think fans can expect out of this fight?
I think we can expect fireworks, honestly, because we're both going to bring it.
100%. I appreciate it. Glad to have you here, Aspen. Julie, great to see you as well. Man, I mean, fighting here on this championship card, you're relatively new to the promotion as well. I know you've been in big fights, but here you are. They're putting you on the platform, ESPN Plus pay-per-view, a former highly ranked UFC opponent on the other side here making her debut. What does it mean for you to be in this fight? Oh, should I think you may be on mute?
There you go.
All right, we all do it.
I couldn't be more excited. You know what? Like, as soon as I heard that they signed Aspen and it was going to be at 145, we called and said, hey, do you guys have anything in mind for the November 25th card? Because last we checked at the end of like August, September, there was no slots open for this card. And I was pretty bummed because I wanted to, you know, have a busy season and be in there. And then when we saw that, we contacted them right away. We're like, hey, like, I'm good to go. And I've been training my butt off. So yeah, I'm excited.
I love it. As we said, I think, you know, your Muay Thai background, I mean, certainly favors you, but as even Aspen said, well-rounded at this point. What advantages do you feel like you do have over Aspen in this matchup?
I think that it's exactly what she said. It's 2 mixed martial artists against, you know, each other. I started in Muay Thai, but I'm a, you know, 4-time world champion in mixed martial arts. And I've been developing my skills all over. So yeah, I'm looking to bring it.
I love it. I think everybody's been excited about the fight since it was first announced. I mean, both of you with very proven track records. So what do you think? I mean, in your mind, what do you think fans can expect out of this fight?
Fireworks. You know what? It's so exciting. I couldn't be more just grateful that it all worked out and that I'm going to be on the pay-per-view, like that slot that, you know, it was for so long. It was like to be announced on both spots on the PFL card, and so it's just like, yeah, just excited, and yeah.
Well, I love it. It's going to be a great fight. Certainly both of you looking to make a statement heading into next year. So we'll turn it over to the media now. We appreciate everybody that's joined us. We're going to open the floor up. Obviously, just raise your hand there, and we'll get to the questions as we can.
All right, Curtis Calhoun, start us off, please.
Hey everyone, this is Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. First question for Aspen Ladd. First off, welcome to the PFL. Before you ended up signing with the PFL, were you intrigued by the season and tournament formats, or what was your impression of the PFL during your time in the UFC?
So when I was in the UFC, it was mostly curiosity. I was curious of the PFL because obviously I was there at the time, but I was hearing these good things, and there's fighters that were that I know that were in it, and they were talking about how they were treated and the structure of the tournament format, and that's really something that I'd never experienced. Not only the fact that you know what time of the year exactly when you're going to fight, but the fact that you're not going to be basically shelved for 4 months and have to fight on 2 weeks' notice. Like, it's all like, you know. And I was like, wow, it's got to feel good. And that was intriguing for me. And then when I was basically figuring out where I was going to go after the UFC, that was kind of at the forefront of my mind. It's like, you know, I was very intrigued by this. And then obviously we're all contracted at certain rates, right? But with the PFL, there's extra incentive on top because you're fighting for what you'd be fighting for regardless, depending on where you are. But the better you do, you have opportunities at this massive amount of money. So it's like, it's kind of
And then a couple questions for Julia Budd, if I may. Julia, welcome back. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster season for you, dealing with the injury that led you to withdraw from the Kayla Harrison fight. I guess, what can you tell us? What led to that decision to withdraw from the fight, and what's your health status right now? I think she's muted.
It's really muted again.
It keeps going. Sorry.
That's all right.
Totally healthy now. Like, after my, I knew in my last fight when I was fighting something, like, basically I broke my orbital bone in the second round of my last fight. So, we went right back into training because I got the Kayla Harrison fight for July 1st, started training again. And I was like, this is weird. I was wrestling and I felt it get hit a few times, and I was kind of like, this is abnormal. And usually I would just ignore those kind of things, work through it. And then we went and got a CT scan and saw that it was fractured, and it kind of made sense for everything. So I had to heal that up. And that was basically May it happened, got re-injured in training for that July 1st fight, and then healed up. Basically I was good to go for the August 20th card in London, or August, whenever that was. But I still hadn't had a chance to really spar a lot on it. So we wanted to just kind of like not rush it, because that kind of injury is something you don't want to rush. But I'm perfectly healthy now, and been sparring fully since August with it. So it's good. But it was definitely a bummer to have to pull out of the tournament, and I had all these goals set that what I was gonna do and how I was gonna do it. And so it kind of was just like a recourse, change the path a little bit, but I'm here and I'm healthy. So
Awesome to hear. And last one from me, Julia, do you feel like your long-term future is at 145? Because obviously the PFL's got a plan to have a women's featherweight division beginning next year. I guess, what's the plan from here?
Yeah, definitely. This is a better weight for me. At 155, I walk at 160, 161, and that was as big as I could get when I'm training full time and putting all the, training as much as I am for my fights. So this is a better weight class for me, and it's one that I've been dominant in most of my career. So yeah, definitely featherweight.
Thank you both for the time. Appreciate it.
Jay Anderson.
Hey, thanks very much. And I'll start with Aspen. Aspen, there was so much talk about, the issues you had with 135 at the end of your stint there. And I'm just curious if there was a point where you just knew you were done and moving up was going to be a necessity.
Oh yeah. The last couple years, it's been that was my desire was to move up. And the UFC, they have that division, but they're really not putting any attention nor effort into it. It kind of exists only because a man has the belt right now, and they didn't want me to move up. And yeah, so that was kind of like the last straw. It's like I know I can't. Like I barely sometimes make 35, and it is every single time it is bad. So it was more of like a health thing. But this last cut, like that was the leanest that I've come in. I started that cut at 142 pounds. And after 3, it is dried up. So during that whole 6 hours of roasting and not sweating anymore and just feeling like I'm dying, it's like I'm never doing this again. I'm done. Whatever the course may be, it's 45 from here on out.
And 45 does seem like the right weight class for you, but obviously this PFL season was lightweight, and it's going to be 45 moving forward from the looks of things. But if lightweight had been the option, would you have fought at 155?
Yeah, when all this happened, that was what I thought was gonna happen. Like I walk around a little bit below that, but it's you're not gonna like go to a promotion. It's like, hey, I know you have this weight class, but let's do it at a different one. It's like I'll just have a good meal, walk in and fight at 155. But no, right when I was coming loose, basically figuring out what was gonna happen is also when they're like, hey, we want to start at 145 division, so it all kind of just worked out perfectly.
Well, I'm glad that it did. And for Julia, we've talked so long about the Kayla fight. When you came to the PFL, that was the fight that I think a lot of fans wanted to see. Now it looks like she's done with the season format. If you two don't fight, is that going to kind of be the one that got away for your career, or are we reading too much into that?
I definitely want that fight. Like maybe it might feel that way. I'm not sure. It's kind of like, yeah, she's still fighting. So I could still see that fight happening at a pay-per-view card or on, at 145 or at 155, wouldn't really matter. But yeah, I think there would be a little bit of a disappointment that that fight never happened.
And last one for me. I mean, we never got to see you go to Canada for Bellator. Are you going to be on the PFL about maybe doing a show up here?
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that was a bit of a disappointment as well with Bellator, that I wanted that card to come to my hometown and be able to really show out. But yeah, maybe PFL will come up here and have a card up here. So.
All right. Thanks again.
Ben.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let's start with Aspen. It's been a frustrating last couple of years. How excited are you for this new chapter in your mixed martial arts career?
It feels very, very similar to like when I went pro with Invicta, or when I had like my first fight in the UFC. It's like a new, exciting thing.
For sure. And now this is the second time at featherweight. Do you feel like this is finally the weight class for you, that you feel like you're at your best, your peak at 145 pounds?
Yes, I feel healthy and happy here.
I love it. For Julia, now 9-1 in Bellator, 2 fights deep inside the PFL. What are some of the biggest differences between the both promotions?
Ooh, well, just the format of the tournament format or the season format, I should say. Knowing when you're going to fight, the fights being booked, you kind of have this like roster of females that you're going to be fighting. That would probably be the big difference. And just, yeah, not having to wait like a year between every fight. That was kind of, that was hard for me with Bellator, because I was always ready to go and yeah, I'd basically fight once a year, or if I was lucky, twice a year.
For sure. Now, you were booked with Kayla Harrison at PFL 6. How would that fight have gone in your mind? What did you envision that bout looking like? Obviously,
me being victorious by any means possible, and doing what I do, and basically like it was definitely a hard call pulling out of that fight, but it was the best thing for me. So hopefully it happens in the future, but I'm fully focused on this next opponent that I have in the cage.
Absolutely. Now, lastly, for me, talking about focus, you're an avid beekeeper. Can you provide an update maybe on the hives and a few bee housekeeping best practices if you've got a moment?
Yeah. Well, always keep your hive tool on you. And well, right now they are basically overwintered. And yeah, definitely do your mite treatments as well.
Love it. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Alicia.
Girls, first I want to start with Aspen. So I was wondering, how do you mentally prepare backstage leading up for a fight?
What, leading up to a fight?
Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, so like backstage leading up to a fight, like how do you deal with the mental aspect?
Like right before you go out?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think, it doesn't matter how many times you fought, and I'm like 20 plus, and then a whole bunch of other kinds of competitions. It's like, you always have those jitters. You always have like that, oh my God, I'm about to do it. Like it's fight or flight, man. But so you get used to certain things. Like if you don't have a huge adrenaline dump, the more you've been doing it, you usually get over that. But there's still those nerves, there's still those jitters, and it's kind of a good thing. So it's just dealing with it until the ref says go, and then you're not thinking about it anymore. That's my personal experience.
I like that. Okay, so how do you plan out your weight cut? Like, do you have any specific dietary restrictions that you follow? Like, I know that you just went up in weight, so maybe it's even to make yourself feel better now.
Yeah, no, for this one, it's obviously a little bit different. For 35, it was extreme restriction for a very long period of time. For this, it's definitely a lot healthier, and it's not as drastic because I'm walking, or I've been walking for a long time, and a lot of that's because I was trying to make 35 or so long. Like I don't get much above 153 right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a difficult thing.
Okay. Cool. And then I guess my last question for you is, what is your why? Like, what drives you?
Freedom. So my why with all of this has always been to make a life where I am free to make my own decisions. I am have the ability to not be tied down to something or someone that I'm miserable with. And that was just something for me growing up. It's like I want to have complete independence to the best of my ability. And this fighting has given me that. Fighting has given me the freedom to make this money and build this life that I want. So for me, it's the freedom that this provides, the opportunities. And honestly, I just love the shit. So it kind of just, it worked out well for me.
That's beautiful. Okay. Well, kill it out there. I don't have to tell you good luck. You already put in all the hard work. So I guess, Julia, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So you fought for PFL a few times now. How do you like it versus like the other you fought for, like Strikeforce, Invicta, Bellator?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I love that there's another platform to do what, we do as female MMA fighters as well. So it's pretty awesome.
Okay. I mean, is there anything that you haven't spoke about maybe that stands out to you about PFL?
Just the season format. It's very cool. And as MMA fighters, having that like regular, knowing when you're going to fight and stuff, it just is, it gives you peace of mind knowing when you're getting back in there.
Okay. And then, so how do you deal with the mental aspect throughout fight camp?
Mental, lots of visualization, and yeah, just mentally preparing. So mentally as well as physically, visualizing your best performance, I like to visualize every aspect, what can go wrong. I like to think about those things. I like to think about what can go right and kind of prepare for everything.
And my last question is going to be the same thing. What is your why? What drives you?
My why would be definitely like basically going out and having my best performance. That's like every time that I go out there to fight, I think about bringing my very best and overcoming all the challenges that like camp might pull up, or the fight or everything. I see myself overcoming that and obviously like bringing out my best self. So yeah, that would be my why.
All right. Well, out there. Good luck either. You already put in the hard work.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Danny.
Hi, how are you? Danny with MMA Junkie. First question for Aspen. You kind of touched on it, but I want to get a little bit more details on it. I know the UFC obviously had a 145 weight class. It wasn't very developed, but it was still a division that they had. Did they not let you compete at 145? I know you had one fight there, but why, I guess, were you so persistent on 135 despite having some weight difficulties?
For me. So you fight where you have that. And yeah, at the end, they didn't. And honestly, anybody else that is currently in that division, I would start looking at your options. If you can be one of the ones that drops, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was that frustrating? Like pretty much only having that one option for the most part, or competing at 135, knowing that maybe you're better suited for 145?
Yeah, no, I knew there needed to be a change, and it all just came to a head.
Mm-hmm. And I guess how exciting is it now that PFL is, committing to a weight class and bringing talent and actually having, a full division rather than just a couple fighters here and there in one weight class? Do you feel like this is going to be sort of where we see your full potential?
Yeah, no, I'm extremely excited that they decided to do that. As I said, going into this, I was like, they have 155, which is just you walk in at whatever you're walking around at, basically. But from they actually have a 45 division, and the fact that they want to put effort into it, they want to flesh it out, that is exciting.
Cool, thank you. And lastly, what would it mean for you to become champion in that division? Obviously, you were chasing the title in the UFC, you didn't get that, but what would it mean for you to become a champion over at PFL?
Everything in the world, but at the same time, that's not what focus is right now, because right now it's the fight ahead, and that season doesn't begin until next April, I believe. So right now my only focus is on November 25th. Thank
you. And for Julia, I know you were excited about this matchup, but what exactly gets you going with this fight? Is it the name? Is it the style? The weight class? What exactly makes you excited about fighting Aspen Ladd?
I think it's everything. It's all of the above. It's mainly, it's not really about the opponent necessarily. It's more so about being able to fight on this Madison Square Garden card. When I found out that they signed her and that it was at 145, they were like, hey, is there an opening? Can we get in there? And then now obviously it's kind of like it all came together. I didn't think I was going to get back in the cage this year. So it was, it's mainly just seizing the opportunity, and major gratitude that I'm fighting again in 2022.
Yeah, and same question that I asked Aspen, not to get super ahead, but you were champion at Bellator at 145. If you win a belt here at PFL, you'd be a 2-organization champion. I guess where would that put you at 145 among the greatest of all time? And do you look at that? Do you look at furthering your legacy in that regard?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the goal ultimately. But again, this is what I've been fully focused on, is November 25th, having my best performance, bringing my best self, making sure that I just go out there and shine. And from there, we'll see what doors and opportunities present themselves. So, but yeah, obviously that's the goal.
Okay. Thank you. Best of luck to both.
Katie Kavanaugh.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm Katie from Fight Bananas. Definitely a pleasure to be here. It's just my first time doing this. Kind of cool. So I have a couple questions for each. I want to start with Aspen. Well, first off, I met your dad at 273. He was in the hotel lobby bar, and a couple of my friends. We were kind of chilling, hanging out, and he ate one of my appetizers and he ordered one himself. He's super, super sweet. So it was like a pleasure meeting him. It's a pleasure, seeing y'all fight. I wanted to start off with the question outside of MMA. What's one thing you want to accomplish that you haven't yet?
Outside of MMA, oh gosh, there's so much. So for me, and this is another thing that's really cool about the seasonal format, there's never time for anything, and now I know when there is. For me, it's going back to school, getting my degree.
Awesome. To Julia, what is the biggest thing you've learned from the person you looked up to the most, and who is it?
Ooh, from the person I looked up to the most.
What's the biggest thing you've learned, and who is it?
Trying to think. Probably, well, it'd probably be my husband, Lance. And it would be like, obviously he fought back in the day, and his nickname was Fearless. So just like his mentality and everything before, when he looked at competition and fighting, probably that's what I've learned the most from him over the years.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. To Aspen, what Disney character from your childhood do you relate to the most, and why?
Disney character, huh? Let's see. Well, my favorite one ever, not surprisingly, was Mulan. I fell in love with that when I was a kid. But honestly, relating to, there was never necessarily a Disney movie. I was definitely a big time reader, and there was characters and books and things that I did relate to. But we'll just go with my favorite movie, I suppose. It was Mulan growing up.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. All right, Julia, what's one really important thing to you that you do for yourself when you're in training camp?
Ooh, one really important thing. Probably just like hiking and spending time with my dogs, my family.
Yeah, I feel like family's everything, right?
Yeah.
Most important, for sure. No, I love it. And Aspen, if you had to audition for American Idol, what would be your song?
Oh God. So my talent lies in fighting, not singing. I have no idea. It would be horrible regardless. Oh, you guys still there? Sorry. Breaking up a little bit.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, no, that one, honestly, I have no idea. It's a good question, but no idea.
And I'll ask the same to Julia.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not much of a singer either, but if I was really gonna have to do it, it would probably be like, ooh, probably like a Whitney Houston song or something that I really had to belt out.
I get it, belt out. Love it. All right, guys, that's all my questions. Sorry. It was a pleasure talking to you. Good luck, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Aaron, East.
Hi guys, this is Aaron East from MMA UK News. It's a pleasure to speak with you both. My first question is for Julia. Right, set to take your third walk to the PFL cage on November 25th. How does it feel to be hitting such a milestone on the roster?
It's huge. It's a dream come true. Like fighting there, and just huge. It's right up there.
That's good to hear. And my second question is for Aspen. What does it mean to you to not only be making your PFL debut, but also to be making such an explosive entrance with your collision with Julia?
Are you asking about Madison Square Garden element? Sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Aspen, I think you just said the fact that it's not only your debut, but obviously it's such a high profile fight as well. So, what does that feel like? It's not just some kind of small time matchup in your debut.
Yeah, no, thank you, John. Yeah, no, the feeling with that one is incredible because obviously they talked about the opponent before the place, and I knew exactly who she was. That's extremely high level. So I was watching her when I was a teenager. It's like, oh, okay, we're going 45. We're fighting one of the best 45ers. Sweet. And then it was, wait a second, they only have one more card this year, and I knew exactly where it was. Like, are you telling me I'm going to fight her in Madison Square Garden? It's like, couldn't be better. Like, thrilling is the answer.
I can only imagine. And my last question is for Julia. When getting the call to welcome Aspen to the PFL cage on November 25th, was about something you were looking forward to?
Oh yeah, very. It's exactly like just the Madison Square Garden card, final card of the year, and Aspen. It was like you couldn't wipe a smile off my face for this whole camp.
I can imagine. Thank you ever so much, both of you, for your time, and I wish you all the best for the 25th.
Thank you.
Andrew Benjamin.
Hey, ladies, thank you very much for taking the time. This is Andrew Benjamin with MMA Sucker. My first question is for Aspen. You signed pretty quickly with the PFL after being released from UFC. I'm just curious to know, did you want to get back fighting quickly, or did you think maybe, I don't know, maybe take a little break or something? Yeah, what was your thought about about signing so quickly?
Hell no. That was the only thing when I was signing with PFL because I knew when their next season was probably going to start based on looking in the past. It's like, oh man, I'm going to wait. And then getting the information that I didn't, I wanted to get back in as soon as possible. And I got that. So I'm very, very happy with that.
I'm also curious to know as well, Aspen, did you happen to receive any other offers from any other organizations, Bellator or Bare Knuckle or Invicta, that you could talk about?
Yeah, no, there were several offers, but obviously we'll stick with the one that I went with. And they were good. Like, it was good to know that you're basically wanted. And yeah. But yeah, no.
Gotcha. My next question is for Julia. You've been fighting for a long time, and you came at a time when I would say that probably women's MMA was still not what it is now. And I'm curious to know, how have you developed and just developed as a fighter as the sport changed from when you first started till now?
Just evolving constantly. Like I kind of got I didn't start my MMA career till I was 27. That was my first fight. Basically when I started, I was a Muay Thai kickboxer, and that was it. I had like one idea of how I had to fight, and that was kind of my first year fighting. And then from there, obviously, I fought Amanda Nunes, Rhonda, Jermaine, and Sheena Olson in my first 12 months of competition, and learning, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this, I got to evolve. And that's kind of been my, it's been constant evolution. Like I'm a martial artist. It's what I do for passion as well as a career, and just constantly evolving, getting better and building on my skills. And I think that's why I've been able to have a longer career and continue to get better.
And my last question for you is, I'm just curious to know, did you ever, even though you've been fighting MMA for a long time, have you ever considered going back to kickboxing, Muay Thai, or even, I guess the trend is now to go into boxing now? Was that ever, have you ever thought about that stuff?
It's not so much because I'm fully focused on obviously mixed martial arts and building my game here. But and just like the opportunities are still here with the most females, and there's way more opportunities for fights and stuff. So I've been fully focused on MMA, but it's not something that I've ruled out.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you.
Thanks.
Rachel.
Hey guys, can you see me? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, how's it going? My first question would have to be for Aspen. First, I gotta ask, are those your dogs? In the
Yeah, no, these are my babies.
Yeah, what's their names?
And if you can see his little head poking out, that's Kylo Ren, a little bit of a Star Wars nerd. And I'm on the go 24/7, so they go with me. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a very good life.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Oh, huge Star Wars fan.
Really? That's new information for me. I did not know that. Is that like, do you like the battle scene or?
I like all of it. Like, I like the story. I like the battles. I like some of the drama. And I'm also one of those, any fandom, it's kind of like MMA people where there's it's very divisive all the time. I'm not one of those. I like all of them. I'll watch any of the movies. I appreciate all the stories.
That's amazing. What's your favorite Star Wars film if you had to pick one?
But honestly, it's probably The Force Awakens.
Nice. I liked Rogue One.
Oh God, yeah. I forget to include it. Like, I think that might be one of the most well done movies, but it's so outside the storyline. It's like
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Because I like the classics, but when that came out, I was like, I'm not watching any of these new stuff. And then I saw that one, I'm like, hey, it's not bad. It's really good. It's well done.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it kills me though too, because I know the whole time I know the outcomes. It's like I can't get too attached.
Yeah, exactly. You knew exactly what was gonna happen. I know this question is like gonna suck. You probably heard it so many times about the weight, but I'm really genuinely curious about going up in weight. Like, how do you feel about like fighting? Do you have to physically prepare in any sort of ways?
Sorry, how do I feel right now, versus when I was at 35?
Yeah, like just preparing to like go up. Like, you feel like you need to get stronger? Do you need to do anything different to prepare for a higher weight class?
My entire focus is basically making 35. Like, distance running every single day, extremely restricted diet most of the year, and I can't lift weights, nothing like that. So being able to transition is something where I am both healthy and physically not dying all the time. It feels completely different.
Yeah, I understand that aspect of like not having to diet or run, especially because that takes away from the training of the techniques and all. But do you feel like when you spar with a heavier opponent, do you feel a difference?
Not necessarily. So, and I'm sure it's the same with Julia. A lot of the time we're sparring and working with dudes, and you bring in high-level female training partners for certain things. And yes, if there's a huge difference, like 20 pounds, 30 pounds, you'll feel that. But anything under, it's not that noticeable, honestly.
That is awesome. That's good to hear. I like your confidence. I did have the question about what's it like to face, first of all, Madison Square Garden and facing a high-level opponent who's been in the sport and faced so many amazing high-level female fighters. And I loved your answer. Like, that confidence is a killer. I respect that a lot. But my last question for you would be, what excites you most about PFL and joining their league? What about it?
Yeah, no, I've been asked that one several times now. It's like, it is probably the format and the fact that I've been treated extremely well, just talking to everybody. It's like you're not just a number on a board kind of thing. But it's the format of it. The format, knowing when you're going to fight, and importantly, knowing when you're not going to fight. It's like that was the main selling point for me.
Awesome. All right, I got questions for Julia. First of all, pleasure to meet you. You're one of the classics, so it's pretty awesome. My first question will have to be, you've been in this for a long time. Is there ever a time when you just have a hard time training and you just have a hard time getting up and being motivated? And if so, like, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you going in those days?
Well, knowing that there's somebody preparing to fight me and wants to beat me, that's a good motivating factor for training. But also just, it's something like I said before, like, martial arts is something I do for my own mental health, my own well-being. So training is something that I do every day regardless of a fight camp, because it makes me feel good, and it kind of just puts me in a great mood. So no, I'm somebody that is motivated all the time, but there's obviously extra motivation when there's a fight booked and, a goal at hand. So, yeah, obviously we all have days that we don't feel like getting out of bed, but for the most part, I'm really motivated.
That's awesome to always be motivated. I gotta steal some of that. But you face like some high level fighters. In my opinion, that the only losses that you've ever had on your record has been against the top. What, like, how's your feeling afterwards after a loss, and how do you get back in the game and keep going?
Well, I think I'm just like, ever since I was as long as I remember, I've been an extremely competitive person. So like 5 years old, 4 years old, wanting to, track and field, soccer, you name it. I'm competitive and I will love to win. So losses, I obviously it sucks. And then you go back to the drawing board and you look to get better and look to, fix those mistakes. And that's kind of just been, you gotta suck it up and you gotta get back in there and you gotta get in the gym and get better and yeah. And, you can't stay down. So that's just kind of that's for me. So obviously I hate losing, and but at the same time they've made me better, like become a better fighter from the losses that I've had. So yeah.
Is there like one rematch that you would just die to have? You're like, I know I could beat this person, I want that rematch.
Yeah, it would probably be Cyborg for sure.
Yes.
Going into that fight, fighting in, like, up until that fight, I had never fought in that kind of arena, or like that size, that magnitude. All my title defenses were in Thackerville, Oklahoma. If you've ever heard of it, it's like, WinStar Casino. It was amazing experiences, but didn't quite prepare me for a sold out card at the Forum with that kind of like, whoo. And
Yeah.
I freaking, yeah, anyways, I would love to have that fight again.
I would love to see that one, actually. So maybe
yeah, well,
on that.
she might come over. You know what? She may come over to PFL, so it might happen. And yeah, I would love that opportunity again. But obviously, I grew from that fight, and yeah, became it's more experience, and yeah.
That's awesome. My last question would be, if you had to pick like a goal outside of fighting to like reach, what would it be?
I mean, oh God, like, I don't know, like, besides like being like I mean, there's so many, but at the same time right now, something I've been working on in the last couple of years is I have honeybees. Right. So something I would love to be is a successful beekeeper as well, but I'm on the struggle train a little bit, learning the ropes of that, and yeah.
You'll get it. I know.
Yeah, I'll get the hang of it.
Fresh honey is the best. I'm not gonna lie. It's like once you go fresh honey, you don't go back.
No.
So, good for you. Thank you guys so much. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, Adrian, can you please close us out?
Hi, ladies. Thanks so much again for the time. So for Aspen, how do you think your time with the UFC will translate to the PFL? Like, whatever you learned from the UFC, what do you think it'll do for you now making your debut in the PFL?
Oh, a ton. So it's similar to when I transferred from Invictus to the UFC. I felt prepared for it just based on the way they treat you, the way they do fight weeks. Like,
those your dogs?
Oh wait, sorry. What was that?
Yeah, what's the name?
Oh, Kaya, and if you can see his head, that's Kylo Ren. Oh dear, you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Adrian. Sorry about that.
I think that was a recording.
Yeah.
Can you hear what she's saying, John?
I did not. Adrian, can you repeat your question? There was some playback that kind of went over it. So if you could repeat that, that'd be great.
Yeah, no worries. So Aspen, how do you think that your time with the UFC will translate your time now in the PFL?
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I think it'll be extremely worthwhile because I hadn't even thought about it. But Julia mentioning how she felt overwhelmed with a shit ton of people watching, basically, or like a giant arena. I've experienced that several times, like that kind of thing. It's not something that I've thought about, but there's that. There's the stresses, the fight weeks. I've done any kind of thing you can imagine, from dying, cutting weight, and doing a huge media days, all kinds of just prepares you for basically stress. So I think that's definitely a good thing to have in my back pocket, but it's kind of just like a been there, done that approach. Like everything's different, but when you've experienced the best and the worst already, you kind of go in overly prepared for whatever that it might bring.
Awesome. Yeah, love that. Thank you and best of luck. For Julia, so you have a few losses in your career, but you know, those were to really big names like Cyborg, Ronda Rousey, etc. Did you learn anything from those losses?
Yeah. You know, it's I learned more from my losses than my wins for sure. So definitely.
Awesome. And if you could name like one thing, what would one thing be that you did learn from that?
Well, I think that if I go to the Cyborg fight, because that was probably the most recent, it was just, you know, embracing the moment more, not getting so like that when I felt like I let my emotions get the best of me in that fight. And leading up to it, it was like and so kind of I'd say I'd learned that a lot from that fight, was not letting my emotions get the best of me. Learning how to control them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Good luck to the both of you.
Thank you.
Awesome. That'll be the last questions. We appreciate the media, everybody, for joining today. We got some Star Wars talk. We got some unexpected beekeeping tips that we didn't know about. So appreciate the insight. Julia, Aspen's dogs, thank you for joining us as well. The 2022 PFL World Championships take place Friday, November the 25th at Hulu Theater in New York. It'll be streaming live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Appreciate everybody's time, and we'll see you next week in New York.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.